Every story's worth more than it was sold. Built on faith, built to last, a legacy that holds fast. Coffee's on with the morning light, truth and wisdom cut clean and bright. One dream growing day by day, walking by faith come what may. One stack, one family, one plan, one destiny. Chosen reserve, standing strong through every storm. Chosen reserve, keeping timeless values warm. Building wealth, building faith, leaving more than yesterday. Joseph Reserves, where legacy starts today. Silver in your hands, faith in your heart. Every generation gets a fresh new start. Joseph's Reserve, strong foundations don't fade. Joseph's Reserve, every sacrifice pays. Not just stacking, not just gold, a legacy worth more than we're told. Joseph's Reserve, one family, one plan, one destiny. One family, one plan, one destiny. One family, one plan, one destiny. Joseph's Reserve. Joseph's Reserve. Joseph's Reserve, standing strong through every storm. Joseph's Reserve, keeping timeless values warm. Building wealth, building faith, leaving more than yesterday. Joseph's Reserve, where legacy starts today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And now, it's time!
How are we doing? Happy Saturday, Stacking Warrior Tribe. Welcome to the Stackers Lounge. Let me bring on our special guest, Joseph's Reserves, and my co-host, Silver's
Hey.
Urban.
What is up, everyone? Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for being here, brother. Good to have you. Sarpus, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, my man.
Made it back in
Long
time.
time. Let's go. So, Joseph, were you able to hear the music?
I was, yeah, I like that. That was awesome.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
I'll be sure to email that to you just to make sure you get that. Feel free to use it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, brother. So
How did you write that? Is that like an AI program that writes music for you, or?
Yeah, well, I started out and then I start just tweaking around. And usually what I do is I'll go to the person's channel and just, learn a little bit about them. And of course, I know plenty about you. And then I'll just start putting the prompts in, come up with some lyrics, and then just kind of tweak them just to make sure that they look and sound good as far as with my taste,
Very cool.
So as a musician,
that.
you like things to sound and look a certain way,
Yeah. Are you? So you're a musician? What do you play?
Well, I grew up. I grew up. In fact, actually, I grew up in church, playing music, singing. I was in
Great.
choir in school, middle school, high school. Played the drums, a little bit of guitar, sang. I don't
So
sing
we're all
anymore.
musicians, aren't we?
Yes.
Because
Yes. I
Yeah.
I was
actually.
a musician.
Yeah. What did you do, Silver Serpents?
I played clarinet for 7 years throughout middle school and high school with
That's
my
awesome.
middle school concert band and then high school marching band concert band. And we were actually in the top three concert bands in the state
Welcome
amongst all
to
the high schools,
Saturday
including the big ones from Albuquerque a couple years ago. We won our division 10 times running and set the state record for consecutive championships by any high school organization.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
brother.
I actually I
Yeah.
played brass, so my main instrument is euphonium or baritone,
Ooh.
and
Really?
the
Nice.
euphonium I played that for 7 years in middle school and high school, and then did 4 years of college. Actually got a degree in composition, so I
Nice.
wrote symphonies and orchestras that actually went on to get awards. I won some competitions and stuff in writing, and actually played in Disney Hall where the LA Philharmonic records all the Hollywood music. I played one of
I used
my
to want
own.
to.
You know, I played my own written piece there with a trombone solo in it that I performed, and it was my favorite conductor at the time that was leading the piece. It was an
Humble just
amazing
asked, what's the
experience.
topic today? We're gonna get into legacy here in just a minute, but
That
just
is amazing, Joseph. My director hammered music theory, so we all knew how to read, write, and compose, as well as to transpose music. We were a small, like 30-piece band competing with some of the biggest and best schools in Albuquerque. So oftentimes we didn't have the instrumentation to cover, a third sax part. So we were rewriting key parts of the melodies and harmonies for instruments that had a similar intonation. And so, in order to cover key parts of the score, we would change up the instrumentation where we needed to. But yeah, we
That's
would,
so cool.
we would sight read too as part of our concert band competition. We would
Yeah.
give in a piece of music below our skill level that none of us had seen, 10 minutes to look it over and play start to end, and judged on our basic musicianship. So that was all really
sight
fun.
reading can be a huge challenge. That's awesome. Well, it feels great to be in a I guess a room in an area with musicians.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like
you
Yep.
got it, brother. Heck yeah,
Yeah.
man. Happy to have you here, and of course, Silver Serps. Silver Serps, there you go, buddy. There's your sound. And all right, y'all. Well, welcome to the Saturday Stackers Lounge. We have our special guest, Joseph's Reserves, and everybody. Thank you all in the chat. Let me just do a quick call out, starting way at the top. Initially, of course, we had Serps. We have Ralph Ramsey. Who else did we have? Casper White Rodriguez. Welcome, buddy. The Humble Stacker, my man. Who else we got here? We got a lot of people. Investable Collectibles, one of my first members, along with Serps, and then Stack That Gold. I just got monetized and I just started off the membership. So thanks everybody. Bear, appreciate you, buddy, for being here. Master Blaster Stacker, welcome. Jaime, what's up, buddy? And Catcom. Let's see who else we got. SC Stacking and Collecting, the Bullion Brigade. Who else we got? Nikki Silver Stacker, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Angry Buffalo Stacker, my man, let's go. And Cavalier, aka Dozer Dave. He reminds me of the dude on Gold Dust and on Gold Rush, so I was like, I keep calling him Dave Turin. Who else we got? Let's see, make sure you got everybody that's hanging out with us and showed up early. All right, y'all. Well, we have a jam-packed agenda. Joseph, I sent you the questions ahead of time. What did you think?
Oh yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff today, and I was reading through these questions and trying to figure out, should I kind of just have a written kind of a response, or should I just do it off the top of the head? And I decided to do it that way. But when I was reading the questions, I was imagining what I was gonna say, and even just driving in my car thinking about the topic, I was getting emotional. I was having a whole time. So you're probably going to hear me choking on a bunch of words today, and I'm excited to share that experience with y'all.
Awesome, brother. Well, again, we appreciate you, man. And because we have so many questions, I'd really want to get into the topic. So for everybody listening, I know Humble asked a little bit earlier. So the topic is legacy, and how this came up is, you all know, I've mentioned this a couple times on the live. And what's really great is that Joseph works in a coin shop. And so one of the things that inspired me is that I've been watching coin shop videos, and lately I've been seeing the kids, right? The kids that go in with gold, silver, whatever their families left behind. And not to say that just the precious metals are legacy, but it got me thinking about legacy. And oftentimes you see these kids going in there, they say things like, I don't know what I have, or they seem like it's an inconvenience, like it's bothering them. And then one gal I remember, she was inconvenienced, but then she got 50K. And you know, the things that I think about is that I know what it takes to get these precious metals and to live this life, and it takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of education. And so as a result, it's just something that's it's at the forefront of the topics that I want to explore, because I think it's important that we as stackers also think about what we're leaving behind, but not just the metals, like the lessons and the culture and the lessons, that the things that build us up to get us to where we can actually stack, and why we do it, and etc. So that's a little bit of the background. But just to get us started, Joseph, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into precious metals, and what first sparked your passion for stacking?
So, okay, a little bit about myself. So usually when I start this story, I guess it's my story when it comes to stacking, I start just a few months before I started stacking. Really, to get a better idea, I'll start a few years before that. Just a brief history. So about 5 years ago, my son actually passed away. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son, and my son died 4 days after he was born. I was in the military at the time, and this led to a whole series of events where I was kicked out of the military. We ended up becoming homeless, because if anyone's gone through that kind of a tragic loss, you kind of lose all will to do everything. I lost the will to provide for myself and my family. I lost the will to continue driving forward in life. I got to a point where I wanted to just be with my son. There was a lot of intervening and divine intervention, really, that saved my life. And that's a story for another time. But this all led to a point where my family and I were homeless. And we were doing this thing that a lot of people do today, where they try to set money into a savings account. And then that savings account it's just too liquid, right? You can easily send it to your debit account and swipe it and get whatever it is that you are wanting right then. Not the things you need, but the things you want, like burgers and watch a movie and all those things, right? Cash was just too liquid for me in a homeless state with zero drive to save. I recognized the issues that was going on in my life, and the patterns and habits that I had. And from there, I was able to make the decision that what I needed was an asset that was not as liquid. I soon met someone who, he didn't stack per se. He wasn't like this, but he was an old veteran, and he always wore a bunch of chains of gold. Eventually I got into talking to him, and he understood what all us stackers believe. Gold is money. And we're able to liquidate that, to use that capital for other investments, other ways of growing our wealth, other ways of savings and all that. He started to teach me this idea, but he did it in gold jewelry. He was very, very old fashioned. He didn't know much about bullion coins. So I started learning about it through YouTube, mostly like the big channels everyone knows, Yankee Stacking, Silver Dragons, and that kind of level of channels. And
Box.
Once I started to learn that silver was a way to store your wealth, I got incredibly interested and went to my coin shop. And I think what really pulled me in was the day I made my first purchase. I bought a silver eagle, a few things, but I bought my first silver eagle, and spot was like $24.85. The silver eagle had a high premium at the time. It was $35. Just after that purchase, I went out to Chipotle with my family. We all went out to eat, and that dinner for the 4 of us cost $35. And I remember thinking, wow, this 1 ounce of silver eagle, cost me the same as a meal for my family. And pretty soon this 1 ounce of silver began to represent a meal for my family. So every one of these is a meal for the future. Every ounce of silver is the amount of wealth and value frozen into a time capsule as a meal. And from there, I thought, okay, I'll continue this and see how this all goes. I'll find out if that really does track. So even today, if we were to go to Chipotle, my family of 4, we would easily spend, not like we're going out there and buying the whole menu or anything. We're not buying any more than what we typically did, but it would still easily be a $60 dinner, right? Which still continues to go right in line with silver spot price. So for a homeless person to see this can represent not only a meal, but my next meal. From coming from somewhere where I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, this being a physical representation of that meant so much to me. And these became very important. The more of these I had, the more confident I knew where my next 20 meals were coming from. This would represent, 20 meals right here would represent almost a month's worth of dinners. If, when I was homeless, I wasn't eating every day, right? I wasn't eating at multiple times throughout the day, but just what's on this table in silver, in 1 ounce silver, would be enough to represent an entire month's worth of food for my family when I was homeless. So, that is what my camera keeps falling. That is what really solidified stacking for me, was the fact that these hold their purchasing power, and I can use it to represent an amount of value that can help my family later. Not only that, but later it became, these are items I can pass on to my children's children. And if they are ever in a situation where they are questioning where their next meal is coming from, this is the answer, right? It could be 200 years from now and they finally get their hands on one of these and they need to sell it, they need it, they can have it because of the work that I put in.
That's right. Wow. Amazing, my friend. Amazing backstory. Very emotional. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't know any of that, my friend. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of financial advice, what would it be? Stop
spending it all. I mean, really, like, look at, oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. Really look at what you are spending and find out what you don't need to buy. Find out why is this? There we go. Sorry, my camera is doing all kinds of stuff. I might just have to hold it. If you really took a look at the stuff that you are spending, you don't need any of it, honestly. It's been about 12 years since I've had a TV, let alone any subscriptions that go along with that said TV, right? No Netflix, no Disney, no Amazon Prime, or I guess it's not really TV, but the only computer I have is the one that I edit my videos on. I do have a smartphone. I'm filming with that right now, but I don't use any other social media other than YouTube, and YouTube is just for this.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that they're paying with their attention, and that attention eventually turns into dollars. And the more attention they spend on something, the more dollars get spent on that. And if you're able to remove that attention from those things, you're going to be saving a lot more money. Some people ask me how I'm able to do 20% of my income in rare coins and precious metals. And it really boils down to, this is what I'm focused on. I'm focused on building something for my family. And it's almost like it's its own bill that has to be paid. And then I live off the rest. When I was homeless, I had almost the same amount of income as I do now. But now I pay for a house, a mortgage. I pay for gas and car payment and my kids' education. I homeschool my kids, so I'm buying them curriculum and books and all that, right? You can make it work with any amount of money you decide to make it work with.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, amazing, my friend. Love it. And I know we already talked a little bit about it, so we can maybe skip this question or we can hit it outside of stacking. What are you most passionate about, and how has that helped who you are today? Helped shape who you are today?
Well, outside of stacking, I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera, but
Oh, you're good, brother. No worries.
outside of stacking, I have two main passions. Well, three, I guess. Three main passions. One is Christ. In that process of going from homeless to finding a home, figuring out financial stability, stacking, I actually found Christ right at the same time. So that's been an interesting journey. Whoops, excuse me. But it's been an interesting journey these past couple years, just the same amount of time I've been stacking. Another big passion of mine is music. I studied music for about 15 years and actually got a degree in composition, and I love writing music. I'm actually currently working on writing a piece that's going to be my new intro. Instead of the static, it's going to be a whole like cinematic kind of suspenseful type piece of music that is going to open up my videos. And then the third thing is actually fitness. Before stacking and precious metals, I was actually wow, I'm totally blanking on the word, like a fitness person, a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So I was a personal trainer for about 8 years while I was doing music and doing some other things. And in the military, I was personal training people. I was a nutrition specialist, so I dialed in people's like tracking of nutrition and things like that. I've been letting that fall off the past year or so, and I'm actually the least fit I've ever been in my life. So I'm working on getting back to that, but that's all stuff that I focus on outside of stacking. That I feel like mostly my journey into walking with Christ, as well as my love for music and a little bit of fitness. I want fitness to be in this category. That's all part of my legacy that I'm leaving on, and we'll get into more of what I mean by that.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to get to. So
Yeah.
without further ado, let's talk legacy. Opening question: what does the word legacy mean to you?
Legacy to me is what parts of me are going to live on in my children. Not only in my children, but what parts of me are going to get to the next generations, right? So a lot of people think about legacy meaning the same thing as inheritance. To me, it's very, very different. Inheritance is just a thing that they will acquire from you. For me, it's more of what portion of my philosophies do I pass on to my children that live on in them so much that they pass it on to their children. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's where the faith can come into play. That's where my teachings on fitness and health, if I take that as a huge priority in my life, hopefully my children will take that as a huge priority in their life, and they will be able to teach their children that faith and health. This precious metals and the financial literacy and all of this is hugely important, but it's nothing without your spiritual health and your physical health. So those are top priority when it comes to legacy. Not to diminish what all this is. This is incredibly important, because when I grew up, I did not learn financial literacy, and it actually got me to a space where I was homeless. So this has become much more valuable as a teaching tool for me to my children over time. But the ideas are what are more important. It's not this specific. I don't want to pass on this specific 5-ounce round to my children. I want to pass on the ideology of what makes this 5-ounce round important.
Love it, my friend. And is stacking really about us, or is it about the people who come after us?
Ooh, see, okay. I'm going to take what you said, people who come after us. I'm going to change that to the people we give it to, because there are a lot of people that don't have children and they still stack. There are a lot of people who don't plan on giving this to their children. They're not technically people that come after us. They're people we give this to. This could all be eventually stored up for the kingdom of God, meaning that this could be sold as a lump sum collection to someone, and that money could go to a charity of their choice, right? So that is what it's about, is what can all of this capital, all of this value, what can it be used for? It can be used for good, and it can be used for bad. So the stacking is really about the people it goes to.
Yeah. Very well said, my friend. Very, very well said. When did you realize your stack had become something bigger than just buying silver and gold?
I want to say almost that first purchase, where it was that purchase that led into the realization of the meal idea. But obviously it was like, oh wow, that's an interesting coincidence that Chipotle for my family cost the same as a Silver Eagle. And I want to say it was probably somewhere around when silver hit $50 again, about 6 months ago, that that I realized that it was all tracking. That, you know, when the price of silver goes up, the price of everything else goes up. And it was abundantly clear at that point that we had this massive run up, or the beginning of a run up, and you could see the price of everything else going up equally.
All right. I like it. Just wanted to check in with the chat real quick. We have Catcom, Casper, Jammies. What's going on, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. We have Matt Wingay, Sober Stacker, on the throne, having a good time. David James Flood, thanks for stopping by. He says, Christ, family, health, and then the stack. I like that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thanks for sharing that. And then Donna Sim, thanks for stopping by. She says, hit the thumbs up. Absolutely. Yes. All right, y'all. So getting on to some of the more hard-hitting questions. So we've all seen those videos of the children bringing in their parents' collections into the LCS. What goes through your mind when you see that, Joseph? And maybe even share your perspective when you see that in IRL, right?
Yeah. So what I've seen in the shop I work at, which I will say, I work at a coin shop, and I'm actually working on starting my own shop. It's going to be opening up here in a couple weeks. Follow my channel and my stuff to get some updates on my shop opening up. But currently at work, I'll have people come in and they'll have an entire box of all of a stack that someone put together for decades. They'll even say, yeah, my dad was super into this, and he was buying this for the last 30 years and he just passed away. First off, how horrible of an experience that someone just passed away and they leave this cardboard box with all this stuff. There's no explanation of what it is. There's no finite way for anyone who's acquiring it to know where to take it. And now you have to think, okay, this is something that my person was so attached to that they spent a decade, multiple decades, putting this together. And you got to find out, is it worth holding or not? I just want to shine some light on how difficult of a decision that is for some people. But then when they decide, I'm at least going to go see what it's worth. And that right there is the words. They're going to find out what it's worth by going to a shop who is planning on buying that and selling it, right? So they're putting all of their trust into whoever's on the other side of that counter. And it would be so incredibly easy for me to say, well, this, it says $1 on it. It's worth $1. I can give you $1 for that. And they would have no idea. They wouldn't even know what their person who passed away, what they spent on it. They would have no idea what it might be worth, or what it's even made of. They don't know if it's real, if it's fake, any of that. So For someone to come by and just say, I don't know what this is, what's this worth? It's a little heartbreaking that not only do they not know anything about it, but they don't know anything about what their person who was supposedly so close to them that they left their entire stack to them. They don't know anything about that person's hobby. And it just goes to show, like, you should be sharing this with the people that are very close to you. You know, be safe. Don't be sharing it with your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your aunt. And, you know, hey, I have this whole stack, come into my office and look at it. Come see what's on the other side of this wall. No, you want to be sharing it with your wife, with your kid, like your kids when they're young enough to be building their own stuff. My kids have their own stack. And I know that I'm going to be sharing, hey, I just bought this thing. What do you think about it? This is an ounce of silver. I bought these. Share it with them so that they can at least identify the things. You don't have to tell them, hey, I got this stack of 2,000 ounces of gold and all whatever it is, right? But you should be slightly educating the people who are going to get your stack throughout your lifetime and throughout your hobby. But what's so heartbreaking about it is that whatever the money value is, they almost seem to not care. It might be, oh yeah, this collection's worth $100,000 and I could pay you that today. And they go, you know what? Yeah, I think I've been wanting to go on a family vacation for a while, so I'll take it. And that, I think, is the even more heartbreaking part, is that not only did this piece of silver not have any value to them, but the amount of work that someone did to acquire this ounce of silver means absolutely nothing. But yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to say, so do you think those children are just ungrateful, or did their parents maybe just not teach them the value of what they inherited?
I think it's more that they didn't teach the value of what they inherited. I think at that level, they're in a thought process that, okay, well, my parents just left this house. That's some odd $100,000. My parents left this bank account with a couple $1,000s in it, and now I got this that's another $100,000. It's just a number, right? But if you share it with them while you're building it, hey, look at this ounce of silver. This actually cost me 2 hours of my life because I get paid $30 now, whatever it is. I get paid this, and I worked really hard so I could buy this thing. I think it's so cool. And the thing is, it can buy this, right? And when you attach the value to it, it becomes a lot more important to them. When they see how passionate you are, when they see, even if they don't believe so much in it, right? If they don't think silver's going to the moon, they're not going to hold on to it. But if they start to imagine, oh, this had some value to, let's just say my dad. This had some value to my dad because he worked for this. He wanted to acquire these so that I can have these. When you start talking to your kids that way about it, they value it so much more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If your family sold your entire stack the week after you passed away, would that bother you? Why?
Okay, so when I first read this question, I wanted so badly to say, no, that's why I got it, right? But absolutely, yeah, it definitely would. And that's why there might be another question that leads more to this, so I might get more into detail with it. But I actually have some action plans, some steps ahead that are to put all of this in a trust with like a committee that looks over it, and to allow my beneficiaries, my future generations, to take out collateral-based loans on the precious metals rather than selling it. So that's my plan, and there's way more details that go into that are important. But I have that kind of plan to avoid, hey, you get this coin, I get this coin, we'll all just sell it and get the cash and go, hang out in Hawaii for a couple months. That's not why I'm doing any of this. And I think my children know that. I hope they do. And it's right after I pass away, so I'm not going to know. unless everything I believe is true is the fact that I'm going to go to heaven and be watching over them. I would be disappointed. I would.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah.
Is a safe full of gold worth anything if your family doesn't understand why you accumulated it?
Well, I mean, it's worth the gold value, right? The thing is, if they don't understand why I accumulated it and they don't understand what it represents, like how I was talking about, the silver represents a meal. 100 ounces of gold represents very close to a home, a house on land, typically. If they don't understand what it represents in value, then they're just going to see the dollars. And to them, it would be the same exact equivalent as a safe full of cash. So yes, it does have value, but not nearly the value I intended it to have.
All right, Serps. So I just dropped
Yeah.
in the private chat the next round of questions talking about the next generation, just because I know that's some of the stuff you've been thinking about. So go ahead and take it away, asking the questions, and then I'll just run producer.
Oh, let me see if I can get it. All right. So, Joseph, when it comes to teaching the next generation, do you actively teach your children or family about sound money principles, inflation, etc.?
Yeah, I do. So we homeschool our children, and part of that is an animated show called Tuttle Twins. And the Tuttle Twins, it's made for children, but it's a very history-based show. And they have an episode that talks about inflation. And this episode is actually sponsored by Goldbacks. Brilliant episode, amazing explanation of inflation. They use a time machine to go back to ancient Rome and talk about how currency debasement was adding non-precious metals into precious metal currency and lowering the purity, thus making more coins, all that stuff. It's an amazing way to teach children. But I think more importantly, my kids have their own stack. We pay them for doing chores, and the only thing they want to buy with that money is they want to go to the shop I work at and go buy some coins, which I think is amazing. They have their own collections. They like to collect their own things. My oldest daughter collects Perth Mint koalas, and my younger daughter is way more into the numismatic stuff. She likes paper currency and small, like less than 10 gram silver. So I think what is vitally important, especially at this young age, is that they see their collection still as money, right? This is their savings account. And we've let them sell some of their stack to buy something they really wanted to save up for. And if they don't connect their stack to money, they don't connect their stack to having some sort of value, I think it defeats the entire purpose. Right? So allowing your children to make financial decisions for them to either win with or fail with, I think is very important.
Yeah, and I think your answer there directly ties in with Kaliilo's next question about how important are discipline, the delayed gratification, and financial responsibility as part of your legacy. And you kind of spoke to that as far as them like saving in silver and attaching a value to that, the discipline
Absolutely.
of saving up and the delayed gratification and saving up to achieve a goal. And then the responsibility as far as, managing the savings and, impulse control, spending habits, because I remember I bugged my mom when I was younger about having a ball python for a pet. And she finally gave in and told me, if you can save the money, you can get one. And like 3 months later, I come back with a pet store with the snake in my hands. Mom, look what I got. I finally saved the money.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's just any sort of financial responsibility is hugely important to teach your children, whether or not it's through cash or through precious metals. Them being able to, because you could give your kids cash, and if you don't let them spend it, they have no idea what it is. You can give your kids precious metals, and if they can't turn that into money and use that value, they have no idea what it is or what it represents, right? So in order to get your kids excited about saving money or excited about stacking precious metals, you have to let them use it. And I think that will instill the delayed gratification, and that will instill all of these financial responsibility and financial literacy into their thinking.
Mhm. The next question here is, can someone leave an incredible legacy without ever owning an ounce of precious metals?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that we can look back at my definition of a legacy. It's what you teach your children, essentially. What part of you continues on through your children. And it doesn't have to be, oh, my dad taught me this and I'm going to teach you. It's more to do with your character and the things you say that your children will repeat. I mean, I'm sure all of us as adults, we say something, we're like, oh man, I sound like my parents, right? And that's exactly it. That's your parents' legacy living on through you, right? And it doesn't have to be, I got this thing from my grandmother and she wants me to pass it on to you, right? It's more the ideas. So you can have a great legacy that lives on through your children, right? That great legacy can look like many things. Today, we're happening to talk mostly about precious metals because it is that important in today's world, right? The dollar is continuing to go down. People aren't being taught about financial literacy or how to manage their finances. People aren't even talked about, like, people aren't even taught today about what money even is. If you go to the average person and ask them what backs the dollar, I guarantee you they're going to say gold. People don't even know we're not on a gold standard anymore. But they think that we only print so much money because we have this gold, and that's not the case at all. I mean, I don't have to tell everyone who's probably watching this. If you don't know, please do some research and learn about 1971 going off the gold standard, as well as how money is created through loans in banks. That's how money is created today, is at banks. Yeah, I notice I get off on tangents. So as soon as I'm like, I'm not talking about the question anymore, I'm just going to stop. You can go on.
Oh, no. But yeah, absolutely. It all ties in. And this is a lot that I'm learning because, I've always, like, more or less knew silver was more valuable than, like, I'd seen silver eagles when I was younger. And although like I said, they're marked for $1, I knew that they were worth more, back in the 90s, maybe like $5 or $6 when I was a kid. And so I didn't really, I thought about gold, but I just liked silver better, being a white metal. And now that I started stacking just last year, it's really opened my eyes to, monetary policy and things like that. Because I've, been very well aware of inflation, the degradation of purchasing power, how wages have more or less not kept up with the cost of living. And in a very poverty-stricken state like New Mexico, it's the cost of living is low, but wages are also very suppressed as well. So
yeah, I did a video recently about whether or not gold truly holds its purchasing power. I came up with I think it's 4 examples. One was like fine clothing, a house, and transportation. All of those costs, they cost the same amount as gold as, like, I think it was 500 years ago, 100 years ago, and today. They're all the same. Yeah. Like 500 years ago, transportation, an ounce of gold could get you a nice quality horse to get you places. 100 years ago, it was like a horse and buggy or a new car. And then today, an ounce of gold, it would be like a used car with no AC, but it would still get you there, right? And then, but today, if you look at income in gold, 100 years ago, the average, like, skilled laborer would make about 2 ounces of gold a month. And then 100 years ago, that same skilled laborer would make somewhere around 10 ounces of gold a month. But today, we're making about 1 ounce of gold a month for a true skilled laborer, making, it'd probably be somewhere around 60,000 a year, which is the average income for an American today. And we're making half as much gold as what they did 500 to 1,000 years ago, and a tenth the amount of gold that the average person made just 100 years ago. So the income fluctuates wildly, but the purchasing power stays the same. And I think that just
Yeah.
speaks even more to the kind of financial, I almost said the word pandemic, but financial problems that are coming with today.
Yeah, definitely. And this next question coming out here: what habits have created the greatest wealth in your own life?
Which habits? I want to say mostly getting off of the internet. I know I post my own stuff, and saying that seems like I'm telling people stop watching my content, right? But really, what I mean is stop comparing yourself to what other people are doing out there. You can be scrolling on Instagram. Instagram is all about look at the best of my life, right? You could be scrolling on Facebook. That's all about what's happening in my community and what are people spending money on. And there's the Facebook market and stuff like that. You could be scrolling on like any social media, and you're gonna see the best of the best of the best, and you're gonna think, "Wow, I need to be buying these things. I need to like most men today have their dream car. If I had enough money, I'd buy this car. Most people have a dream house. Oh, if I had enough money, I'd buy a house that was like this." Getting away from those things, the materialistic things, will save you so much money. And it's not even just that. Like I got away from all screens, right? So no TV, no subscriptions, anything like that. I don't waste my time with consuming, because when you're consuming, that comes at a cost, of a monetary cost. So once I stopped consuming everything, I got to choose what I wanted to consume, and it was all pointed towards growth. And that's where I think is most important. If you can choose to focus on what's actually going to grow you, then you'll start putting more of your effort towards growing as a person, growing maybe even as a business, growing as an enterprise, growing as a father, husband, brother, son, any women out there, the equivalents of that in the other gender. And when you're growing as a person, then you're not spending that money to just be a stagnant consumer. I think that is probably what was a large pivot in my life.
Yeah, I've possibly for me as well. Like I'm when I started working more skilled labor, I started making more money than I had before. But my cost of living was lower, but I still just kind of I stayed broke. I was living paycheck to paycheck, unable to really save for any sort of emergency. A lot of it is just kind of like maybe the way of life too. A lot of vehicle repairs, high fuel expense with living out of town, and the constant commuting. But it's been buying silver and slowly tucking away little bits. It has really changed for me. Cutting out the consumerism. Like I've got one TV I've had for a couple of years, and I've thought about buying the bigger one to kind of mount in my living room, because I just spend time in the bedroom of my apartment. But every time I look at it, and I'm like, no, I'd rather buy silver instead, or lock it into metals. I've cut out a lot of that consumer mentality, and I used to before as well. It was a lot of just things I would buy out of necessity, so given that, and talking about not being so consumeristic, and watching your family's habits as well as your mindset here, would you rather leave your family 100 ounces of silver, or the mindset that allows them to build wealth on their own?
Oh yeah, the mindset, definitely. If I towards the end of it had to sell all of this to pay for my retirement or pay for nursing home or whatever it might be, if I had to sell everything, as long as I could pass on the mindset to my children to regain it, that's all that really matters. And not necessarily this, but just assets in general. But to backpedal just for a second, you had said a lot about consumerism and buying the thing you might want. I think those things are important if they're important to you. And an exercise that my wife and I have been doing recently is she'll ask me, is it worth a dragon? And what she means by that is, would I sell my deep stack to get that thing that I really want? So it's
How
almost like
dare
comparing it. Oh, do I want that thing or do I want more silver? Is it the more better question? Is it worth selling your deep stack for? Right, because we can put certain value on certain items, and when she asked me that, I realized, do I really need or want this actual thing? And sometimes the answer is yes, and we'll end up getting it, and it is because it's worth that much to me.
Yeah.
Right, so not to put like entire shame on people who have TVs or want bigger TVs or anything like that. I think if that's important to you, definitely
How
make
dare
that
you.
something you strive for. But for me, it's not.
Yeah. I'm content with what I have. You know, I have I share a couple of streaming services with my ex, like Netflix, Hulu. Mostly, I'm just kind of spend time on YouTube watching other content creators and not really consuming much modern media. I find myself on Tubi and the free platforms, maybe watching older '90s movies a lot lately. But there are things that are important to me, and I'm trying to get a lot of my like spending, mostly the pre-orders, under control. I've cut that down. I'm still taking in some bullion, but right now, I mean, I'm not in a position where I'm really wanting for anything. So I kind of come back to that. Do I want to? Like I guess kind of the same question: is it worth the dragon? And for me right now, the answer is no. There was maybe one thing I'd seen a motorcycle. I'd come up on Craigslist, and it's an older model, but it was one I really liked back in when it was first released. It was a 2013 Suzuki 400cc supermoto bike, so it was dual purpose but street legal. And the seller was asking $3,500 with a number of aftermarket upgrades, like it had the hand guards, desert tank, cargo rack, a backup Kickstarter edge. I thought was nice in case of dead battery. And I've been sitting here still debating, do I want to sell some gold to try to buy that motorcycle? I've been looking at the ads about 3 weeks old, and so I'm kind of like, is it worth the deep stack?
Yeah.
And so, let me see here. We'll try and catch up with Kaliilo's questions. I'm sorry, I kind of read some of them out of order because he sent 2 paragraphs here. Obviously, you said if you're giving your children some coins as far as rewards for doing chores and them saving in silver. What was that experience like? Getting them interested in silver and seeing like the like sparkle in their eyes, the joy that they get out of going down to the coin shop and being able to pick out a piece that they enjoy. Or
I think
adding something to the collection.
Yeah, for us, like when we started, it was my budget for going to the shop was $500 every paycheck, which is every 2 weeks. And what I would do is I'd actually go to the bank and get $500 in coins, and we would search through these box of coins within a day or a weekend. And then when I returned those coins that I wasn't going to save back to the bank, that was now my silver budget. I put the rest into silver, and I was trying to find like coin roll hunt for, silver or other coins so I could get those cheaper rather than spending the money on. I buy the coins at face value essentially when I'm coin roll hunting, and my kids were so immediately interested in coin roll hunting, so that's where it all started. More recently, my younger daughter. She had set some money aside, and then like just had a birthday, so she put money aside, and they ended up just visiting me at work, and it was maybe two weeks or so after her birthday. So no one's thinking, oh, she has money to spend. Let's see what she's gonna get. What it turned out, she visited me on like some random Wednesday, and the whole family's there, and she goes, "Hey, Daddy, how much is silver right now?" And I look at the spot price. Oh, it's this. She goes, so is it down? she's 8. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's down a little bit. It must have been like maybe $56, $57. And she goes, okay, can I buy something? And I said, do you have enough to buy an ounce? She goes, oh yeah, I can buy 2 ounces. Like, oh dang, okay, yeah. And I pull out all the stuff. The way my shop is organized, the one I work at is organized. It's a window style, and you ask to look at their things. They bring you a bag of everything they have, and you can kind of dig through the bag and pull out stuff. So I bring her this bag of stuff I think she might be interested in, and she's like all about it, asking me questions about, oh, what's this one from, and how much would this one be, and what is this? And to see her be so interested in it the way that I know I was when I was literally sitting in that same exact chair only a few years ago, just getting into this, it was just an awesome experience to be able to just directly sell her some silver. And it was entirely on her own accord. It was entirely what she wanted to do with the money. And it was just a really, really awesome experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. I kind of have maybe, in the two-way space, similar experience introducing people into that space with like rim fires and such, and then getting them, overcome their fear and like watching their face light up, but and turning them on to that interest and seeing, that spark kind of light up in their eyes.
Oh yeah.
There are times I've tried to teach people about other things like photography or music, and I'm just so information overloaded, like overwhelms them, and I'm like, okay, I need to write this down and make notes or something to limit myself, because
I'm really bad at that, and that's actually where my channel originated. So when I was learning about all this stuff, I would just information dump on my wife, and she like almost didn't care. Like I could just stop talking in the middle of any point, and she wouldn't even notice that I didn't finish my point. She would just totally zone me out. And eventually get to a point like, all right, you've been talking about this for 2 hours. Could we just move on to something else? And when I started my channel, it was really to make a small 10-minute segment that my wife would watch, and then she would ask me questions about it later that day. And I would continue the conversation, and then wherever the conversation naturally ended, that would be the starting point of my next video. So it was almost like I created these short like sound bites of information that she could slowly digest and come to me with the interest, rather than me just dumping all the information. And that's pretty much the basis of my whole channel, and how it started and what it's become today. So it's pretty cool that it's become what it is, just based off of that beginning.
Yeah, that is really cool. I do definitely enjoy your channel and the conversations that you bring to the table. Thank you.
It's a lot of work to maintain. I know you guys do the same thing, so you can understand. Right now, I've filed it down to about 3 hours to make a 12-minute video. I don't know if I'm gonna get any tighter than that, but I usually wake up around 3 in the morning and get the video done by about 7, and then all the uploading and thumbnail and all that. It's just such a fun process. I wake up around that 3:30 time, and then I just pretty much write an essay on whatever topic I wanna cover. It often takes some research and some looking up certain facts and stuff like that to verify I'm not putting out bad information. I write, maybe a 3-page document on just my script. And it definitely it adds up. Waking up at 3 a.m. every morning, it's a difficult process, but it's really what I love to be doing right now. So I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, that's really great. I've been slacking on my channel a little bit. Like I feel so new to this space that I'm trying to just learn a lot. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I don't really have any authority to speak. I hate to be cast off as like a shill channel talking about trends or whatever, and then they like come back in with egg on my face. So I'd rather not enter that space right now. But I'm definitely being like a sponge absorbing, information about monetary policy and debasement, silver stacking, future investments, and trying to broaden my horizons beyond just metal. Because I've just been an employee, my entire working career for different companies. So I never built up any long-term retirement or meaningful savings until I started stacking. And now that this has got me into more from a collection mindset to a long-term investment mindset, well, even though the collection was built with long-term investment in mind, because, I was picking up what most people consider deep stack items, like these Perth Lunar coins and maybe the Libertads. Now I'm broadening to look, outside of just metals. And as much as, people talk about the AI bubble, the debt crisis, the real estate bubble, I'm still tempted to maybe, start to put some money into the markets, either in like a mutual fund or something, as just to kind of, dip my toes and start to play that game a little bit and see, if I can turn profits back into metals or whatever, as well as continuing to stack, just, build value outside of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to trying to figure out the specific niche in content that you're going to be putting out, what content does the absolute best on my channel, and will probably do for most channels, is the philosophy behind your stacking. Right, there are a lot of big philosophies I talk about on my channel, which is, just to say a few. I dollar cost average into silver, and I silver cost average into gold, meaning I watch the GSR and trade silver into gold. Also, I talk a lot about the difference between sovereign silver and generic or privately minted silver, and how the market views those differently, and why it would make sense to choose one over the other, and when you do. Because you buy a lot of what other people would think of as deep stack items, I think that is the reason you're buying those is what people want to hear. They want to hear why you believe that is the best option. And if the answer is you don't think it's the best option, it's just what you want, they want to hear that too, right?
Yeah.
They want to be able to look at your collection and go, should I do something like that, or should I not do something like that? And make up their own decision based off of what you're talking about.
And ultimately, I know people like Silver Dragoons and Dub C who are big into more numismatic items. Like I know Dragoons is big on the 90% and Dub C into the vintage silver. I'm hoping that when my time comes around to be selling that, this 2023 rabbit in another, 20 years, when it's, almost 2060, that this will be vintage. And then the Privy Mark set has a lower mintage than just the regular BU 1 ounce. So I'm hoping there'll be some numismatic value added to these coins at the when I reach my retirement age and turn around to sell and liquidate, and maybe sell them all as a set. As if I get, the entire set of Lunar Series 3, which I've collected every year so far, with that limited privy, then, maybe I could liquidate it for a higher premium, or, take it to like an auction somewhere. This is, something I'll research more when my time comes around to sell. But I'm also trying to add more generics and buffaloes. Like recently, I picked up some 1 ounce rounds and some buffaloes off of PMs for sale for close to melt.
Nice.
Yeah,
but it would be like, imagine an entire one of your videos talking about why are you picking up those Perth Mint ones, and you'd be explaining that you see that these are going to be more numismatic later in the future, but then dive a little deeper into how much numismatic value would you imagine one of these having. You could try to compare it to a vintage round 50 years old today, and how some of those are highly numismatic and sought out for. And people want to see what your entire thought process is. But I feel like we've kind of derailed a little bit from the legacy. Did we have some more questions?
Let me see here. Kaliilo from chat. Okay, is there a difference between stacking for yourself and stacking for future generations? Are you preserving wealth or simply collecting shiny things?
I see. So I feel like that's where the deep stack comes in. Like what we were just talking about. There's some things that are a collection, and some things that are you get it because you like it. Like my dragons, right? My deep stack. I wouldn't see this piece as something that is for my children to have for a monetary value, right? They might want this because dad really liked it, and it reminds them of me and stuff like that. But that's no longer stacking, right? collecting, and they might want parts of my collection because they like it too. I think that's very different than if I was to, like, this becomes very different than handing them 5 eagles, because this is a personal item, is what it almost becomes, where this is the silver, right? So I do believe there's a very big difference in stacking for them versus stacking for me. Stacking for me can look like things like this, or I really like these 5-ounce buttons, right? But these, again, these aren't high premium or anything, so this looks almost more like the 5 ounces of silver. This is less collectible than these dragons are, but when I'm picking up things I like and they go into my deep stack, that's not really stacking for them, that's stacking for me. And I think like the 80-20 rule kind of works best for stuff like this. People call this type of collecting, stacking your deep stack as ice cream silver, is what a lot of people say. So in ice cream silver, in precious metals, as well as in just nutrition, there's the 80-20 rule, where you should be only having cheat meals or desserts or things like that that are outside of your regular diet. You should only be having that about 20% of the time in order to maintain overall health. To maintain overall health of your stack, I suggest, this is not any sort of rule that I strictly follow or that I've really ever told anyone else to do or that I've heard anyone else say, but I would suggest keeping it around 20%.
How dare
just to follow some not strict at all 80-20 rule that most people have heard of.
Yeah. That's the guy calm.
Yeah, you got a gallon of ice cream for sure.
Yeah. Lately, it has been definitely more ice cream than bullion. And I've been limiting the ice cream purchases, but those orders are coming in and catching up with me a bit. I just paid off, I think it was 2 Libertads, and then I picked up the 2026 Malta Golden Eagle, which I'm missing the 25. But it's one of my favorite foreign bullion coins here. And it just has the coat of arms and with the €5 face value. And then it's got the golden eagle and a snake.
Yeah, those are really nice looking coins.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the pre-order I placed for this one was when spot was considerably higher, but so the price was locked in at that time. But, you know, the Germania mint typically carries a premium. So I'll be getting those 3 ounces and probably a little bit of copper within the next week or so. I just finished paying off that invoice. It was about 665, I think.
Man.
Yeah, one of the Libertads was just over 200. The other one was 125, and then the Golden Eagle was like 90. And then some other items were on there too. So I'm stopped making pre-orders. I'm paying off my balance with that coin dealer because and he's working with me very well on the payments, but I'm really glad that the current silver and gold prices are holding, because then, you know, I can pick up maybe an ounce or 2 of generic in between.
Yeah.
All right. And right there, I guess you kind of answered that one. At one point, was collecting become hoarding when you say, like, you know, when that percentage of the ice cream silver becomes more than the bullion, or more than like 20% of your stack. That's when it.
I'd say hoard it is a lot like hoarding, but where I would define hoarding is when it becomes a problem for whoever inherits it. And that also gets into what we were talking about before, where someone would come into a shop and just say, hey, I don't know what any of this is. As soon as that is the case, where they just view it as a problem, it's hoarding, right? If you don't leave any sort of direction with your stack, even as simple as take these coins to this dealer, right? Then it's not really a hoard. It's a stack. They know where to take it. They know it's a trusted dealer. They know they can trust that person. They're not worried about how big of a mess this is going to be to try to liquidate all this. They just go, oh, there's a chore. I can just take all this and liquidate it, turn it into cash, done. Just like how any other stacker would view their stack. Oh, I need some cash. Let me just take this over to my coin shop and liquidate it, and we're done. Where it becomes hoarding is if you had a whole section of your stack be numismatics, and nowhere around you is buying numismatics. So when you take it up to a shop, or when your inheritors take it to a shop, the shop could go, I don't even buy pennies. I don't buy graded nickels. That becomes when it's hoarding, when it's something that the next person just has to deal with. So really, it's more about the instruction you leave with it than it is how organized your stack is, and the instruction, than it is necessarily what it is that you're particularly buying. Even if you look at like all those hoarding shows, it's because it's such a mess that it looks like a hoard. If you were to walk into someone's house and yes, it was completely full, but they had everything organized in a very in detailed step of how, like, written out process of how to sell it and where, it doesn't become a problem. It's just a chore, right?
Yeah,
So
it's almost like, walking into a library versus a giant pile of books. If everything's
Exactly.
organized and cataloged, then okay, this is where I can find this.
right. And there's actually, so a person that I know of that goes to the shop that I work at, his goal is to acquire a complete date run of every year and mint mark of every country that has ever produced coins. So he has an entire library of albums of books, an entire like office space that is actually, I've been in it. It's a hidden office, so it's like behind a bookcase, and very 007 vibes, right? And it's really, really impressive how vast it is, because he's got 100 or more countries that he has completely organized in all these albums, and he knows, oh, this country went from this. He knows the history of the countries where they were ruled by this person, and that moved on to this other country was ruling them, so their denominations changed and the silver currency changed to these percentages. And I think it's just so impressive. If you think my level of knowledge is vast, like, this guy is incredible. And but the thing is, he has like his own book written about how his stuff is organized, so that when he does leave it to his children, they can walk into that office knowing, oh, this album, let me just go to this bookshelf, I'm gonna pull off this album, it's full of this silver coin that is these ones from this year to this year, and I know the value of each of these ones because my dad wrote it right here. They're just the silver value, or they're going to be numismatic, so I got to take it to a numismatic shop, right? So that's the level of organization that is sometimes required with the type of goals that some people have, right? Just like you're wanting the entire date run of privy marked Perth Mint lunar calendar year stuff. Whoever ends up acquiring that is going to need to know these are a higher level of bullion coin. Do not just sell them for silver value, right? So
Yeah.
that's where it becomes the distinction of a hoard and of a stack.
Yeah, because that little privy meat, granted, people say, oh, it's this little mark, but it denotes that there's only 1/10 of the mintage of the regular BU. So that's why I'm only buying one of each, because typically they have a higher premium. And I picked up the horse earlier in the year for about 96, I think, or $90. Might have been 90 plus 6 for shipping. But anywhere else I was looking, it was already sold out, and I missed the release date from the first mint.
Dang.
So I was just kind of happy to get one. And then recently, I just got another kind of little goal of mine I have with collecting is the Dragon Bar coins, and I need to put this one on a video because I've already opened it up. But it's the 26 Dragon Bar coin. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have a couple of those. I think the ones I have are 2023. I like the Dragon Bar coins, but I don't know if I like bars as much as I do rounds. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I have a certain eye for dragons, so I do love that. And I just don't know how I feel about 1 ounce bars. I feel like bars are 5 ounce and 10 ounce for me personally, but I could see the appeal for sure.
Yeah. I 5 ounce. Although like last year, I was buying 5 and up to 10 ounces at a time. Buying a single 5 or 10 ounce piece felt out of reach a lot of the time, and so that's why I stuck with mostly 1 ounce pieces. Although I do have a few 1 ounce bars, but so if you've got the
Yeah.
23, that's gonna be no. Where is it? I've seen yours. It's this one here with all the awesome fields.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one I
Yeah.
have. I have two of those. I have them put up somewhere. Honestly, my stuff is
Yeah.
a little. We're talking about organization, and my stuff's kind of everywhere.
Mhm.
That's
And
something
this one
I'm
is kind of
constantly working on.
yeah, a new unique year because every other one just has a frosted field without, but that 23 has got the castle and the treasure chest and all that. Or it's the 24 maybe? 2024.
It might be the 24 that I have.
Yeah, because
but it does have all the stuff in the field like that. Yeah.
How dare you?
mine are out of order. I got the 25 and then I just picked up the 26. And I've got another one on the way. Somebody messaged me and they sold it me for $65 with free shipping.
Nice.
So that just hit the mail this morning, and so I should be getting that probably by Wednesday or Thursday this
When
next
did
week.
they start that series?
In 2018 was the first year.
So those are pretty short. We could put that together pretty easy then, huh?
Yeah, the hardest year to find is the 2020, but that was the one that took me the longest to get.
And do they only make
after
that
I started
in 1 ounce,
backdating the series? Yeah, only in 1 ounce.
Okay.
And the 2020's got the 2 dragons on it, which is kind of interesting.
I like that.
But also being the cough year, there was a lower mint. I think there was a lower mintage, but am I wrong in saying there's only 30,000 of each of these coin bars minted each year? But
yeah, I don't know much about that.
I'll have to look it up again. Get all mine in here because I've got a couple of duplicates.
Real quick because I still have some questions for you, Joseph.
Let's keep it going.
So I wanted to talk on the personal side. I want to move over to the personal side.
All right.
Because I think it's time for us to do a little bit of show and tell. Because at the end of the day, we're stackers, and we love us some Silva, including my favorite Libertades.
Yes.
There we go.
Libertad! Sí, sí, sí! Ta, ta, ta! Libertad!
And actually, I just wanted to take a quick second to tell everybody to please...
If you would, please, hit that like button and help expand this wealthy community of ours. When you hit that like, you're saying you want more content like this. If you're new here and you want more of this content, subscribe for more and you will get more. It's as simple as that. Don't leave it up to chance me just showing up in your feed.
All right, so on the personal side, I think maybe you answered this, but I wanted to ask it in a couple sections here. So, does your family know where your stack is, and would your wife and children know the difference between melt value and numismatic value?
Yes, they know where my stack is. As far as would they know the difference, I want to say for most products, they probably would. They probably wouldn't know very fine details as far as like an eagle versus generic. Overall, they probably would understand that an eagle gets more on the buyback. But when it comes to maybe like a Britannia and a maple, that's confusing already, even for someone in the field. So I wouldn't expect them to know those finite details as far as how much premium. But when it's something like this that's graded with some numismatic value, I would expect that they do understand already that if it's graded, it should have a little bit of a better premium in most cases. I personally don't like to have stuff that's graded that wouldn't have a better premium. Like, for example, these. Oh, my wife's here with some.
Can you open this for me?
Oh. Here, ready? Look, she needs me to open a jar. Oh, did you hear that?
Sound effects are
Oh, they're great.
terrible.
Here's an example of a coin that, even though it's graded, it does not have any higher premium. So that does also happen to be the case for some things. most modern bullion that's graded is not a higher premium. Even though these are MS70, the premium is typically not there when you're selling them, unfortunately. So that's even something that stackers are don't understand much. Maybe not don't understand
And
much,
that's
but
the bottom line.
it's a complicated concept to grasp, right? The fact that these never circulated, so the fact that they're getting 70 is not really anything special. But I plan on putting together a document that lists things like this and their general value, so that way if something does suddenly happen to me, they would have an idea. In addition, I just signed up for this. This is the gray sheet. This is this month's physical copy of the gray sheet, and I do have the online access as well. And within this, you can get the actual value for any coin here. This is a list of Morgan dollars, right? So you can see where all these red arrows are, that went down because spot price went down. So that means those ones are highly attached to the silver value, right? So that's another tool. I'm going to leave them tools to figure out what it is, rather than making sure that they know every single coin has a different value, or making sure that they know the exact value of every single coin. That's impossible to teach even for someone that is in the industry, let alone for someone that may or may not even be stacking by the time they need to know it. I'm going to leave them the tools to figure out what they should be acquiring or what they should be selling this stuff for. So I think that's more or less the answer to that question.
Awesome. I like it. Let's see. Are you ready? Let me see if I get my sound here real quick. Where we got? Let's do lightning round.
All right.
Lightning round. Ready, set. Let me put you on the big screen. Gold or silver?
Silver.
Stack or collect?
Stack.
Biggest stacking mistake?
Buying too much at first.
Most meaningful piece in your collection?
Right here. I know this is a collection is what you're asking.
Yep.
This is my favorite piece by far.
Ooh, that ain't realist.
I like it. One book everyone should read about money?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Nice. And last one word you hope your family uses to describe your legacy?
Faithful.
Love it. Let's go.
I feel good.
I like it. All right, y'all. Well, we're getting towards the end. Some of these closing questions. There's plenty of show left, but if you had 5 minutes to leave one message with your family about your stack, what would you say?
5 minutes. That's all I get. No, I'm not going to take up a whole 5 minutes. I want to say that this stack represents a lot more than just the metal that it is made out of. This stack represents the amount of value that I had, that I was able to set aside throughout my life. Right? We all work for value, and we trade our time for money. And this is a very small portion of the money that I was able to set aside, and I did it for you to have. I put the money aside in this form that will not deplete over time, so that you could continue to use this money for the things it would have bought me. So really, I'm allowing you to use this for your life and for your children's life, instead of me using it. So these embody the sacrifices that I've made to give you. It's a lot more than just the silver. It's a lot more than just the gold. Really, it is a physical embodiment of the time and effort that I was willing to work for you. I'll just leave it at that.
Love it, man. That's
before I get
perfect,
too
brother.
much more emotional.
No, that's perfect, brother. So, what legacy? And I think we've already answered this, but the question is, what legacy are you building today that has nothing to do with precious metals?
My faith. I honestly want to work harder at it. I want to be putting more time and effort into it. Right now, I mean, I go to my church every Sunday and every Wednesday to help with the youth that are there. I'm pouring myself into my Bible every morning, but I can do more. I want to be pursuing that a little bit more than I have been, and that's pretty much going to be a big focus of my I guess my life. That's going to be the focus of my next chapter, I guess.
Got it. And then Joseph's wife Asenath doing some teary-eyed emojis. So the next one we have here is, when your story is over, what do you hope people remember most about you?
I hope that they can honestly say that I was the man of God, that I worked hard for my family, and I sacrificed every bit that I could for them.
Love it. I would love to get the chat involved here, so let me put this back out. So chat, if your family inherited your stack tomorrow, would they know its value or just its price? And panel, Serps, if you want to answer this one.
Probably just the price. I've talked to my dad a little bit about silver, and like he's shown me some of his old Littleton Eagles and a couple pieces he has, but he's got probably no more than 30 ounces of silver. I don't think any gold outside of maybe some old jewelry. But I'm not sure how to talk to my younger brother, because he's the only one of me and my siblings that have kids, and he's got a daughter. Been trying to get her interested in coin collecting. What, probably it might be with like the first lunar coins or something, that's cute and pretty. Then build from there. Okay, well, this is why silver is worth more than the face value that's written on an eagle, etc., and try to teach her about at least if something happens to me and she inherits my stack, what I did it for, what it's worth, and hopefully to put it towards something good and not just a vacation or a shopping spree. There's something as an investment into, okay, well, it's going to buy her a house, or it's going to help her get a new vehicle, or something that they really need and not something they just will frivolously want. But no, I need to talk to my family more about it. I just also live about 350 miles from my younger brother and my mom, and then my older brothers across the country in North Carolina. So I don't have any immediate family close to me that I talk to about, my stack. No wife, no children. So it's just me.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, I want to be able to say that they understand the value of it. And the big reason is, every time I talk about it, I talk about how, not just the price. I don't say, oh, this silver today is $57. I talk about what it can buy, right? What it can trade for. My biggest example that I always go to, especially when I'm talking to new people, is a silver dime. They say in 1964, a gallon of gas was one dime, was 10 cents, one silver dime. And today, a silver dime is a 14th of an ounce of silver. It's about $3.75, I want to say, a little over $3. And in my area, that's exactly what a gallon of gas is today. So the idea is that silver maintains its purchasing power over long periods of time. And because I'm constantly talking to my people, anybody I'm telling about silver, I'm showing people, hey, look at what I bought today. Every time I buy something, we do what's called a show and tell that night, where we literally pass it around, and I talk about, hey, I got this because I have a collection of eagles. So I'm just putting together another eagle. You all have seen eagles a lot. When I'm excited about a piece, like when I picked up this, we had a whole discussion about how the 8 reales was the basis of the silver dollar in 1790s, and how this coin was the biggest monetary unit in the 1700s. The 8 reales was just a huge piece of history, and we talked about that history and what it led to, and all kinds of things, right? So for me, every time I buy silver, it turns into a discussion. It's not just hey, look at what I bought. It cost me this much, right? So, and I think that's an important part. Is your family doesn't have to see, hey, look at my entire stack. They don't need a stack reveal. They just need nice 8 reales there. That's awesome. I have a is that the same person as this one?
Carlos the Fourth.
Carlos the Fourth, yeah. No, I have Carlos the Third. This is the third, but this is a shipwreck coin. I need a Carlos the Fourth and an 8 reales. I think I actually have one somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. I
really like the 8 reales.
I think it's important for people to see, here's 1 ounce of silver or a few ounces of silver. This is what the actual value is. And I sacrifice, instead of buying a meal out to eat tonight, I'm actually putting the money into this so we can get a meal some other time in the future. I think it's all about how we present the precious metals that we have to those that we're showing them. Oh, that is a beautiful coin. Is that a 1737? Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. No way.
Yeah, this is a reissue from the Spanish Royal Mint in Spain.
Yeah, but it's just interesting they use the same date that I happen to have.
Yeah.
Awesome. But that's the biggest topic when it comes to will your family understand its value, is that you have to put value in it for them.
Absolutely, my friend. All right. Well, we've been going an hour and a half. We still have plenty of show left if needed. But Joseph, do you have any questions for Serpents, myself, the chat, or anything you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, I do have some maybe just to get to know you guys a little bit better. How old are you, and where exactly do y'all live? Not exactly, but like around what area do y'all live?
Go for it, Serps.
I'm 36 years old, and I live in northern New Mexico, around the Taos area.
I just turned 43 last month in June, and I live in the Pacific Northwest in the state of Oregon.
Okay, great. I'm actually 31, and I live in the Houston, Texas area. So the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people think, oh, it's too late for me to start this hobby. It's too late for me to start anything. And of course, I'm as the youngest in the chat or in the group right now. It's easy for me to say no. It's never too late. But I truly believe that I've met people in their 60s and 70s that are starting stacking. People that were close to an age where they might have even seen silver in circulation, and they are just now buying 90%. They remember handling those coins and are in a position now where they realize the money is gone. The true money, the real money is not in circulation anymore. And my whole point is that it's never too late to start. It's also never too early to start. My kids are 8 and 9, and they have their own stacks. And the biggest thing is just start whenever you can. Start with what you can and what makes sense. I said earlier that my one of my biggest hurdles or regrets, I guess, in this was going too heavily too fast. I started out with like $1,000 a paycheck, and my paycheck was like $1,600 or something like that. And I ended up having to sell a lot of it to. I had to completely restart my stack on 2 separate occasions to make bills because I didn't have that financial education. So that leads into my next question. Did you guys ever have to start over your stack or sell a very large portion of it because you realized you kind of did this the wrong way?
I haven't had to sell a large portion. but I did last year, and there's been a couple times where I've put myself in a pinch, and either last year I ended up selling 3 ounces of it was 3 of the 5 Philharmonics that I got. Um, and I was, I took like $4 back a spot. It was about 10 or 12%, and I wasn't too happy about it. Just because I needed a little bit of money for gas and some dog food, and only needed like $80 to get by. Um, so I definitely had spent more than I should have with my budget a couple of times lately. Now I'm trying to really limit my purchases, budget ahead of time, get caught up with all of my pre-orders. So I'm paying as much as I can into that comfortably and still take care of everything else. So I pretty much stopped buying any additional bullion on the side. And I haven't had to sell yet, but I've been, close to where like, okay, if I need to, do I have to, should I go make a post for 3 buffaloes or so, a couple of generics real quick and just offload because I need like $100 for the next week or something. But somehow I've barely managed to scrape by the skin of these silver shark teeth.
I'm trying to keep up here with the chat here real quick. The chat is having fun. As far as like rebuilding, the only thing I've had to rebuild is my silver stack. So if anybody, most of my subscribers know that I'm, when I first got going, I went hard in silver, and then right before that initial run up, that first half of the year, I was just listening to the signs, watching all the the content creator channels, and just following my instincts, and I backed up the truck probably between the months of I want to say February all the way to maybe May. And then later that fall is when everything started going crazy. Well, when that happened, the GSR started to go down, and I basically traded or did GSR, and not just necessarily trades, because I do PMs for sale peer-to-peer on Reddit, and I sold basically, I want to say 80% of my stack, and I put it all into gold. And so a good chunk of it was my Mexican silver, which I love my Mexican silver, and so I've been trying to rebuild it back, and I'm pretty good back where I'm at. But yeah, I think I was getting close to 1,000 ounces, and I got rid of most of it down to about 300 ounces.
Wow. See, but that's less so of you put yourself in a financial bind, and that you use the capital that you have acquired of your silver to get into a bigger position of gold. And I think that's more smart investing than it is doing something wrong within this I guess precious metals.
Yeah, and running stupid makes a good point. So a lot of the things that I've been getting lately now have been a lot of this stuff. This is like all ice cream stuff, and I didn't get it all just in 1 week. I mean, this is all started from the jump. I put out a video where it took me about 5 years to get the full kilo of these Monarch Precious Metals pieces, because Monarch Precious Metals is out of Oregon, Southern Oregon, out of Medford. And so I've ordered from them directly, and because I'm in Oregon, we don't pay sales tax or whatever. So yeah, I just picked up these pieces that I like over the years, and just things that I like, a lot of pores, my sharks. Now these are some ice cream cones for sure. I mean, something I'm not gonna get all the time.
Oh, yeah.
A couple ice cream cones, and then some FG pores. So there's just a lot of things that I enjoy, and it keeps the hobby interesting and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. In my experience, or I guess in my story, what happened is I started stacking silver, and I was buying as much as I could. As soon as I got a paycheck, I would put almost the entire thing into precious metals, and I would completely disregard any bills coming up, anything, right? Definitely not smart. And I think I lasted maybe 6 months doing that, and everything ended up on credit cards, and we were way behind, and I ended up having to sell somewhere around 300 ounces, which was the entirety of the stack and of silver. And I think I just only kept my first purchase, and then everything else had to be rebuilt. And that actually happened on 2 occasions where I rushed into it too fast. I started with $1,000 for a paycheck, and built it up to a point that I couldn't maintain. We stopped buying for a few months, and then it got to a point where we had to sell it all. And then later, when I started rebuying again, it started with $500 a paycheck, and it was slower, but it eventually got to the same exact end where I had to sell it all. It didn't click. Not everything clicked until I decided on a 20% of my income, and that's also right around like the same time I was reading the Book of Genesis, and where Joseph is a person in that book of the Bible, and that's really what led me to the philosophy that I use to stack today, the 20% rule. And I think it just implementing that has really changed a lot of what this does for me personally.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I read a lot of the, financial literacy stuff. So during COVID, I was actually doing financial literacy, like teaching people. I had an actual written blog, I had a website and everything, but I took it all down because I just got busy with work and life, and it wasn't working out for me. But I learned a lot throughout it doing that. It was about a year and a half that I was doing a lot of teaching financial literacy, and so a lot of the things that I kept reading over and over again was that millionaires or people who create wealth live on 25% or less than they make. And Jaime G, who's in the chat, right, he and I have talked about like the FIRE movement, and I was taking in all that who was this Money Mustache guy and JL Collins, Simple Path to Wealth. It was a really good book, one of my favorite books of his. Just all these things about how to the financial independent, retire early stuff. And a lot of it was just stay away from the nonsense, like the millionaire next door, right? Stay away from the nonsense. Don't do the FOMO. And I'm like you, man. I have a TV, but I don't have any cable. I don't have subscriptions. Literally, the only thing I have is my mortgage and the bills, and then the food that my wife and I buy. But for the most part, just everything that I have extra outside of my retirement accounts and things like that, and my monthly yearly sinking funds for like taxes and all that stuff, it all goes into metals pretty much. And of course I'm super addicted, so and I love gold and silver. So
well, they say like all addictions are bad, but I feel like it's really when this starts to take toll on the rest of your life, when it starts getting to a point where you're choosing this over more important things, that's an addiction really becomes a problem. I've heard that if you're addicted to something, it's going to stand between you and your life, your work, and your family. So if you're ever choosing precious metals over those things, and I'd even add your relationship with God in that list, if you're ever choosing precious metals over those things, that's when you know it's a problem. And that's exactly where I was when I went all in right at the beginning. My next question I have for y'all, though, is do you keep any cash aside? And if so, how much?
Yeah, we have. So I think I've shared this before here. It actually worked out perfectly. So I have a couple of things. So I always keep at least 1,000 cash on hand, as far as like just available cash. And
on hand, meaning on you and like available for emergencies, or
yeah, my wife holds on to that.
Okay.
just in case, but
smart
in my wallet. So this is my wallet. I have a wallet case in here.
Okay.
I carry with me at all times a $100 bill. So it's kind of like folded up, and then a 1 gram piece of gold. So this sits behind my credit cards and my ID. But I always carry this with me at all times, and if I ever need to spend it for whatever reason, I just replace it. But I always have $100, Benji, and a gold, and then a little bit of cash just in case of an emergency. And my wife, knows. And if something were to happen to me, I have a bunch of business cards. I have friends' phone numbers. She can take that gold, do whatever she needs to do, or the gold and the precious metals.
I do want to say something that I think it's interesting. You have a $100 bill and a gram of gold. Just recently, those were the same amount of value. When I first started stacking, they were not. The $100 bill was more than a gram of gold, and a $100 bill weighs about 1 gram. So I just found it really interesting that when those met the same value, when a gram of gold was $100, it was right at $3,100 gold. So we're past that point now. But now, a $100 bill is not worth its weight in gold.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. It isn't. What about you, Serps?
I'm trying to build cash on hand. Like I managed to keep maybe like, aside from the star notes and a couple of like special 20s I found, I have held on to like couple $20 in fives between this last check and now. But I just pulled out $80 out on cash back when I was at the store earlier today to try and hold on to that and start building up what I would consider my cash cushion, and have that, cash on hand for emergencies. To, cash protects the stack protects me. But right now my stack needs that protection. So I'm trying to work on building that up. Honestly, I'm a paycheck to paycheck worker. You probably make double what I do, Joseph. Adjusting on your budget and income, like I make like $1,200, so every 2 weeks take home, which isn't bad for my area. And considering New Mexico is a very low cost of living state, but at a salary of 32 to 34,000 a year, that's not a whole lot of money, especially for where I could make in skilled labor as a carpenter, a plumber, or electrician, any of the things that I'm doing on a small scale, a day-to-day basis. So I have, I pay my bills, and I'm, I don't really splurge. I cut out a lot of consumerism spending. Like, there are things I want, but I haven't, bought. It took me a long time to finally get some little wireless earbuds for the live stream so I can walk away from my phone and turn my head without dropping off on the mic. I still have with me a pair of wired earbuds. I use these for a long, long time. So, I'm kind of frugal in my spending, and I'm trying to, build up that saving. Like I said, it's got me more investment mindset. I'm kind of like humble, where I was bad at saving cash. If I had money, I spent it, and buying silver helped me lock that value away. And now that I'm shifting my spending habits and becoming more budget orientated and alternative investments, I want to start putting into a Roth IRA under the advice of Silver Dragoons. I want to talk to Kaliilo about the index, BT, some other, market investments, start building up cash on hand, and, really like secure myself, because I've lived paycheck to paycheck, job to job with no long-term security. And in the last 3, 4, 5 years, I've really been asking, okay, what happens when I can't work anymore? I know I don't have an IRA, I don't have a 401k. What's going to happen to me in 20, 25 years? So now I'm starting to really build and focus on my future financial health, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. I think so. For me, I keep some cash on hand, but I also subscribe a little bit to Thousandaire Radio's version of keeping cash on hand, which is all in just regular circulating coins. I have boxes of pennies, I got boxes of nickels, boxes of quarters that are just directly from the bank. I got jars of dimes. I don't do the 5-gallon jug in every room like he does, but I keep all of that as a form of, I don't know how much money it is. And that's the point of it. If you know how much it is, you start making plans to spend it.
Oh, yeah. But I've got piles of change all around.
Nice.
That I don't count or consider. Like, if I need to, I'll go and count it up and be like, okay, I need some gas money or, whatever, this or that. And I'll go pile it up. But other than that, I take change out of my pockets, and I'm starting to leave dollar bills here and there and kind of like hide it from myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because we don't really know how much is in that, it's really hard to spend. It's hard to plan to do something with it too. So I have that, which I really have no idea how much it is. I know I have at least $1,000 in that, because I started with a box of quarters and 2 boxes of dimes, and then maybe another few $100s in pennies. But then on top of that, I have somewhere around $1,000 to $2,000 on hand that's in my safe or in a few different areas. That's kind of like the protection to my stack.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really big on the whole kind of the fundamentals of like what Dave Ramsey teaches. Have emergency fund, 15% into investments, stay away from credit cards. Up until just recently, it's probably been about 4 or 5 years that I had a credit card. I just got one recently because of something I'm trying to do. Jaime knows what that is, but I'm really very, very anti-debt, anti-consumer debt. I don't even have a car payment. I just don't like it.
Wow, that's great. I can't say I'm completely debt free yet, but it is a very large goal of mine, and we're going to be getting there very soon. What I will say about credit cards, definitely don't have consumer debt, but I'm also pretty anti credit cards. my father-in-law is going into is a partner in my business, and he's had like 30 businesses across his lifetime, and um, he is teaching me the importance of using a credit card for business expenses so
Yeah.
that you can get the points and the cash back and the things like that. So that's something that's new to me, specifically with credit cards, that I'm starting to learn about, and it's pretty incredible what you can do with a credit card. So
Yeah.
not all credit is bad per se. Just credit that you hold over a month is bad.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's I did a lot of because I'm really big on the Matrix, the whole idea of the Matrix, and just the
Mhm.
brainwashing that exists
Oh
via
yeah.
social media, and I recognized somebody earlier in the chat said, "Oh, YouTube is like social media." Well, to me, it isn't because I just use it for the content stuff. But aside from this, I just don't subscribe to it. I don't care about the whole. I just don't. I don't even know the apps names. Instagram, all the different ones, right? I just don't
Yeah.
use them. The last one I had was Facebook. But anyways, a lot of that culture, a lot of what's fed to us, it's all advertising. It's literally all advertising.
It's all
Trying to
selling.
get, yeah,
Yeah.
selling, trying to get you brainwashed, it's like a lot of that social engineering and conditioning, psychological conditioning, like telling us that we need things that we don't need. And once you
Mhm.
wake up, it's so hard to close that again. Like I've never been able to close it. So anytime, like for example, if my wife and I watch a movie or something, I immediately see the nonsense. Like they're trying to get us to buy a thing or to think a certain way, and so yeah, all of it, they want us in debt, they want us stupid, they want us angry and hating each other. Personally, I think it's all satanic. There's a lot of satanic
Oh yeah.
undertones behind a lot of this stuff. But anyways, once you're awake, it's hard to like close that door. In my
Yeah,
mind.
and I'll
Mhm.
push that point even further of like the things that you consume are the things that are going on in your head, and the more you repeat them in your head, the more you believe them. Whether or not you believed them when you first watched it, it's gonna keep going. And what I would suggest to combat that is to consume material that is good nutrients, ideas for your brain, right?
Yeah.
So I suggest a personal speaker. His name is Jim Rohn. And
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Jim Rohn, he's a big part of my family. My family we all call him Uncle Jimmy.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Uncle Jimmy,
Love me some Jim
Jim
Rohn.
Rohn. The entire idea is that I'm trying to like paraphrase what he says about personal development, but the idea is that if you put positive, highly nutrient dense ideas in your brain, then you're going to believe those ideas and become a better person. And if you're constantly feeding your brain or your thought process all this junk and consumerism and all that, you're feeding it with negativity and the negative aspects of what they want you to know and learn and how they want you. There we go. Yes, Uncle Jimmy, one of my favorite people in the world.
One of my favorite, his favorite sayings is, "Don't wish you had more, wish you were better."
Better. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes of his that dramatically changed how I live actually has to do with TVs. He said, "A poor man has a large TV, and a rich man has a large library."
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah.
That's so
So
funny. Somebody had asked me a similar question years back. They said, "Would you rather have $1 million, or what was the other question, or like the ability to like read and retain?" And I said, "Read and retain," because in one of those books or
Sure.
one of the things that I read, it's all about how I can make money. Right? The million, it comes and goes, but it's the knowledge, the wisdom.
Yeah, I heard someone they were like on the street asking a question. They like walked up to a table and they said, "Would you rather would you rather have $1 million sitting on this table or a book of how to make $1 million?" And it went back and forth. People said, "Oh, the book, the $1 million, the book,"
Yeah,
and it
the
ended
book.
with this guy that says, "I don't need either. I've already read the book. I just want the table. I'm gonna sell this table and go buy 2 tables. I'm gonna sell 2 tables and go buy 4 tables." Like, dang. He's like, "I just need the table." And it's that type of thinking outside the box that really is so important when it comes to all of financial literacy and how you think about things, the type of stuff you're consuming, and how it affects your thought processes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think I'm a firm believer in that, and I want to say not 10. It's probably been about good 10, 15 years now where I was just obsessed with self mastery, like that whole idea of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Reaching that what's the top one? Self actualization, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with understanding who I am, what I'm here for, my purpose, and of course, I'm a Christian, so a lot of that has to do with my beliefs and my faith. But aside from that, it's just like it started. I started wanting to really focus on legacy, who I'm becoming, the behaviors that make me who I am, and what can I leave behind, and what kind of life can I speak, right? Like biblically speaking, right?
Hmm.
My philosophy each and every day is to try to speak life, because you never know what somebody's going through, and you never know if you'll ever see them again. I was meditating one time when I was doing some journaling. And I remember thinking to myself, there have been moments where there's people that have left my life, but they were a big part of my life, and I didn't know that that was the last time I was going to see them. And I sat and meditated on that for a long time. And now I think to myself, when I go into the office or I have an interaction with somebody, I almost think to myself, is this the last time that I'm ever going to see them again or talk to them again? Because I mean, think about it. How many times has somebody crossed your path and maybe they were part of your life for a season? You just didn't know. You just didn't know that was the
Twice.
last time you're going to talk to them. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a goodbye. They
Twice.
were moving. It was just life happened. Such a crazy thing.
Hmm.
That's happened to me twice, but it was ultimately a fatality in both instances.
Wow.
One was a guy I become really close friends with. It was a month after I graduated. We were in town together, so I was riding with him, and I was supposed to be his ride home, but we got separated. And I talked to him on the phone and said, "Okay, meet me at the spot in 10 minutes. I'm gonna try to charge up my phone." And we didn't find each other, so I went home. I woke up the next morning with news that he had passed away in a car accident. So that was a big
Wow.
shock.
Wow.
And then with my late girlfriend, where I got the semicolon tattoo, she passed away in 2012, self-inflicted. And I was talking to her hours before we found her, called the ambulance and everything. So
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
that's
saying.
one
Like,
lesson I need to retain is like, really, you never know when the last time you're going to talk to somebody.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then to take that idea and put it to the idea that Kaliilo was saying is you never know what someone's going through, and that conversation could mean a whole lot. There was a time in my life right after my son passed away that I had plans to unalive myself, and I even sought after help, and someone said just do it. So I just went to go do it. I actually was going to make the attempt, and there was one person that is the only time I've ever spoken to that person. Um, he pulled me away from what I was trying to do, and he said, "Hey, I don't know what you're feeling. I have heard what you're going through, and I just want you to know that one day you will meet your son in heaven, and when you do, he's going to be so proud that you are the strong enough of a person to meet him at the right time."
yeah.
And that was the only time, not that we stayed and talked with each other for hours after that, but that was the only conversation I ever had with that person, and he literally saved my life.
Yeah.
And I know that was God telling him what I needed to hear at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's just so amazing that we can choose to be that type of influence in people's lives. We can not only, like, we're not always going to know what someone's going through or know what the struggles are in their life, but we can definitely be as helpful and as positive as we can, um, with every interaction that we can. We can always bring God into every interaction, and I know that to some people that's off-putting. I used to be in that category where if someone started talking to me about God, I'm not their friend anymore. They're not they're not in my life anymore. Was really
Yeah.
what it was, and it wasn't until even a few years after that interaction where someone literally saved my life with a message from God. It wasn't until years after that I met God myself, that I met Christ, and started becoming a follower, and realized how important those interactions really can be.
Mm-hmm. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Thousandaire for the 200 Joels. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate
Whoa,
you, man.
what's up?
Thousandaire. Here, we just hit this right quick.
If you would, please hit hit that like button and help expand this wealthy community of ours. When you hit that like, you're saying you want more content like this. Then, if you're new here and you want more of this content, subscribe for more and you will get more. It's as simple as that. Don't leave it up to chance me just showing up in your feed.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? Give me a hell yeah!
All right, man. Yeah. So no, thank you so much for sharing that, brother. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is it makes us who we are. The character building, which is one of the things that I also part of that self mastery journey that I was on was learning from what I call the people who came before me, or the old heads, right? Learning from the aunties and uncles and the grandfathers and grandparents, people who know way more than I do. And I just started surrounding myself around other people, and a lot of them, a lot of that stuff before I did the Dame Ramsey thing and the debt and my work and my education, it was those little nuggets of wisdom, hearing from other people, like what they did. And I remember one time I was in middle school. We went like on a school trip to the library, and I remember this old man sitting there at a computer. And I remember just going next to him and I was playing on the computer, and all I wanted the computer for was to play games, of course. And he's like, and he just started telling me about what he's doing. I said, so what are you doing there? And he's like, oh, well, I'm looking at my investments. And I said, so what do you do on your investments? Well, I see how well I'm doing. Well, I'm not. Well, he was doing day trading. I had no idea what that was. I was, middle school. This was back in whatever, early, was it in the late 90s, whatever. And it was just interesting to hear the things that he was doing with his life. And then I remember hearing somebody tell me, put a little bit away, $50 at a time, $50 a month, as much as you can. Just these little lessons, right? These nuggets of wisdom. And so if we pay attention, man, a lot of that stuff, it's like the what's that book? The Thousandaire knows it, the whatever effect, the compound effect. These little things add up over time.
Yeah, and that's something I want to talk to you is a little bit of compounding effect and putting money away with that. Like you were telling me to go set up the account, and like I got paid and figuring out, okay, can I afford to put away $20 or $30 this check? Well, I've started to get things situated because unfortunately it's the first, so I got all of my big majority of my expenses are due right now. I used to joke, paydays and paydays, pay bills day. It's all going out.
All right, y'all. We're at the 2-hour mark, and we have kept Joseph's reserves long enough. My man, how did you feel about the interview? Any last words? Anything you want to share about what you're doing in the future with the family, your channel, the business?
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for having me on. It was such an honor to be asked to join you on your show, and to the fact that you put value into what I think and want to share that value with your subscribers is pretty awesome. So again, thank you. I think the interview went really well. I mean, I love talking about the reason I stack and the value that all this stuff has to me, and as well as the ideas that I have in place for how my children are going to take all of this from me someday. And I think that that's a really, really important part that a lot of people might not think about and put into action. Other than that, I think that all of this is a lot more than just the precious metals. The fact that we're able to share our stories with each other is also hugely valuable. We never know what someone else is going through and what someone else has gone through. And I think that because we live in different experiences, we are able to learn from anyone, absolutely anyone. In order to teach someone, you only need to know about 10% more on that topic than they do. Mm-hmm. And you can teach them that 10%. And there's definitely things that I would know 10% more on than either of you, and either of you would know 10% more on than I do. So we can all learn from each other, and we can all grow together in that way. So it's when these types of conversations stop is when we stop growing as a community and as individuals. So I want to thank you again for just having me and how valuable this is. I I kind of had an idea of what I was gonna say. Oh, you asked how like business and the channel and all that's going. It's going really great. I mean, it's starting to become a little bit of a supplemental income, which is amazing. It's starting to become where I have the website and I'm selling like the coffee, the merchandise, and zip up bags. I even have my coffee mug right here with some residue from coffee this morning. Um,
Yeah.
and it's becoming its own little brand and part of something bigger, I feel, and I just really enjoy that one, I'm able to kind of grow it into something, but two, that it's so Christ focused that my subscriber base enjoys the fact that it's Christ focused for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that that's really, really important to what I'm doing here, and what we all should be doing here is promoting our beliefs and having conversations with people about that. As far as outside of the channel, I'm going to be opening up a shop here soon. We should be signing a lease over the next couple days, and after about a 2 to 3 week construction period, we'll be opening our doors to the public, and I'll be sharing a lot about that journey, what it's like to open up a shop, as well as all the paperwork behind it. I had a few comments in my videos ask about what documentation do I need, what certifications do I need, what tax information is necessary, all that stuff to starting a business, let alone there are regulations within our county of what type of things are taxed and not taxed, and understanding all those laws is very important. So I'm planning on making some videos about that over the next couple weeks right before we open, and some video footage of the construction and the area. We might start seeing more of my content be filmed at the coin shop, and from my new desk when I start my office there. And really what the channel is going to grow into is I don't want to just be promoting my coin shop, because that's never been the point of my channel. I've never been saying, hey, buy from me. It's just been, hey, come here to learn about precious metals, learn about what they mean to me. And I'm going to do my best to continue in that way. But of course, I'm going to be sharing what's going on in my life, the shop, where you can buy coins if you like. I'm gonna do my best not to try not to like push in every video, hey, this is the price for this coin and these kind of things. That's not my plan. So all that being said, look forward to footage of the construction of my new coin shop, and look forward to if you are thinking about owning a coin shop. I was surprised at how little it actually takes to start it. So that could be within grasp of all of us, even. It's going to be, I'll be able to speak more on this in about a year or so, once I actually know what it takes. But we'll see, and I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Love it, man. Thanks again, brother. It was a awesome time. Had a great time. Yeah, this time together went by incredibly fast. Holy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Serps? Anything
Great.
coming up in the channel? Anything you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I've just kind of been a little bit behind, so I got my July pickups coming in. Some things I picked up in the beginning of last month that I got delivered, as well as some orders I just finished paying off. So that'll be coming up. Hopefully a little Poucho audit, because I've been getting a lot more fractional silver lately, and just trying to be a little bit more consistent and putting out content.
Yeah.
Trying to find a day for a steady live stream now that I've started doing the trivia and stuff with Stacker's Corner on Wednesday now. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. All right, chat. Well, Capcom Bear, Elder Joshua Argent, Angry Buffalo Stacker, Matt Wingate, Future Motive, Argent Arrow, again, Angry Buffalo. And thanks again, Future Motive, for joining and signing up for the Circle of Trust membership. Really means a lot to me, and looking forward to continuing to grow my channel as well. So again, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Remember, protect your wealth, protect your peace. Nos vemos. Kaliilo out. Joseph and Serps, stick around for a second. Let's chat on the back.
All right.
Take care, y'all. Have a great weekend.